Welcome back to Seabee Land, you fucking queer baits. Alright? And that's not a gay slur. That is a 1997 gay, queer, like odd, dumb, gay, queer insult. So don't play that game on this channel. We don't play that game. We live in the, at best, or at worst, early 2000s. But you're probably wondering what we're doing for Seabee Sunday. Well, I'll tell you what we're doing for Seabee Sunday. We are talking about Seabee military bearing. LOL. If anybody's ever met a Seabee, or if you are a Seabee, you're going, military bearing? Seabees? Military bearing? Exactly, because our military bearing is shit. And some of you guys, high-speed motherfuckers, are gonna be like, ugh, I know it's terrible. Are you serious? That's so bad. Blah, blah, blah. Nah, dude, it's what makes the Seabees. And we're going to talk about it. Why? We're also going to talk about why I'm sitting in my NSUs, my Naval Service, my Navy service uniform, my peanut butters, as they say. Well, I thought you guys would like to see it. I rarely wore them. You really only wore them on watch when you were in trouble as a Seabee, because you were typically in Type 3s. And if watch was normal, you'd be wearing your Type 3s. But if somebody fucked up, they'd make you wear your NSUs. And I have never seen a battalion us wear our whites or blues on watch. But you fleeters are gonna definitely get a kick out of this, but also have to comment because I'm so curious about you guys. So anyway, reverse, and let's talk about, actually, let's not reverse, let's talk about the uniform first, and then let's talk about military bearing. So if you're going into the Navy, and you're gonna go on your camping trip to Great Lakes, because that's essentially what it is, if you think it's boot camp, and it's intense and it's hardcore. I mean, sometimes, very little bit, but if you're gonna go and participate in that and you can't do it and handle it, not to be rude, but it's just not for you then, dude. Like, the military is just not for you, for sure, okay? Because if you can't make it at fucking Navy boot camp, or here, Coast Guard boot camp is even harder, like hardcore. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me. But it's not no Marine or Army boot camp. Air Force is probably the most candy-ass boot camp I've ever seen. But Navy, we're down there. We're in, you know, so sweet, so nice. But there are some hot shit sometimes. But anyway, you'll get your NSUs there, you'll get all that. And as a Seabee, you will wear these probably the least amount, I would say. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I wore my whites more than I did these. Everyone's career is different, because you'll be at an appointment, you won't have to go to this, but you'll go to this, and you'll be detailed with like a funeral detail, you know, at one home port. I don't know if they still do that, but those guys are wearing whites all the time, obviously, or blues, depending on the season. Anyway, I wore it to get a change of pace. You will get some cool uniforms, and I always loved this uniform. And by the way, Navy, NAFAC, NECC, fucking military, if you're having such a horrible time for retention, right, having people stay in, or vice versa, recruiting them, maybe we cut the political shit out. Maybe we stop the identity politics, and we say, maybe they want to grow beards. Maybe those men who we need for war want to be men. So let's just let them grow beards and look like men. Promise you, 35% will shoot up in both. You'll retain 35 more, and you will recruit 35% more, just on that. And I don't want to hear the fucking gas mask argument. Oh, it doesn't seal. Well, then redesign the fucking mask, right? You know what I'm saying? I feel like we could come up with an absolute mask that maybe goes under the beard and seals on your neck, right? Maybe we design that. We'd probably save a lot more money in tax dollars, okay? If we just make a redesign, it's gonna cost millions, of course, but do that as opposed to having the most retarded ass, fucking lame ass force we've ever seen in this country. So anyway, do it, because then you're gonna have men come in and fix it and resolve it, okay? And again, cut the political shit out. So that's the NSU portion of this video. Now to the military bearing portion. Seabees, and we used to talk about this in battalion, why are Seabees military bearing so shitty? And a lot of times, some people were upset. Not a lot of times. I would say about a quarter of the Seabees were upset about it. Like, we need to be better. The Marines are laughing at us. Fuck them. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? That's that guy obviously isn't a Seabee, because you know what a Seabee does? A Seabee goes, I don't care. I don't fucking care. What the fuck do I care what a Marine says? Or a fucking Army soldier. No one cares. That's cool. Is he gonna be placing concrete with me? Probably, maybe, I don't know. But, oh, and this is a cute thing. Look at that for show. You guys liked the lever action last time, so I thought I'd put this 308 up here. So great, I love it. We'll talk about it next time. Check out the other video, I've got it on there to talk about it. But, going back, and let's start at the beginning. World War II, Seabees are born. All right, December 7th, 1941 happens, Pearl Harbor. Boom, we need a construction force. Seabees were implemented. We were not called Seabees. Originally, I think we went through a couple phases. At one point, we were the beavers, I think, and then another animal too. But the problem with that, little historical lesson, we weren't called those things. We didn't stick with beavers, right? Because when a beaver dam is attacked, the beavers run away like little bitches. We're like, swim away. They're like, oh my God, no. We're building, but we're gonna leave. Well, our motto is we build, we fight. So what happens when you fucking kick a hornet's nest? When you kick a bee's nest? Those bees don't go, oh my God, somebody's here. Big bear, big angry bear, red bear, Russia is here. No, we build, we fight. We're gonna fucking sting you. Regardless if we suck or not. We're gonna do it. So that's why we're Seabees. But way back then, 1942, blah, blah, blah. That all happens. March 5th, we finally get the official, you are Seabees. That's why it's our birthday, because that's when we obtained the name, even though we were already in motion prior. Now, military bearing wise, why are we so salty? Why do we not give a fuck about who, what, when, where, you know, when it comes to the rank or military bearing? Originally, Seabees were a lot older, old men. Like 40s, 50s, maybe 30s too, but real older. They were the older generation, and the reason is because the Navy needed skilled laborers. And if any of you guys in construction work construction, you have a lot of those old fuckers, and I used to do it before the Seabees. You got a lot of old fuckers in there who are salty ass electricians, who are salty ass carpenters. Dude, could you imagine, you guys that work with them, could you imagine them putting them in a military setting? That would be the funniest. It would be its own show. It'd be on Comedy Central, 2003 Comedy Central. You know, funny when it was funny and not political. But you got to take in consideration all those people were older, and you put them in a military setting, and then you've got these like 24-year-old, 25-year-old, maybe 30-year-old officers telling them what to do. A 50-year-old, he looks at him, he's gonna be like, just shut the fuck up, dude. In other words, listen, dude, cut the shit out. What do you need? What do you need? Can do. I can do it. Just tell me what you need and leave me the fuck alone. In fact, there was a saying in the Marines, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hope I don't butcher it, but the saying goes, be kind to a Seabee, he might be your daddy. That's because of the age difference. I don't know the average age of a Marine in World War II. It's probably like 19 or 20, I imagine. Young kids, maybe even 18. But Seabees were a lot older because of this situation of skilled labor, right? They recruited older generations. And so, of course, you're gonna have a young, and I had this in the Navy myself because I joined late at 27, but you're there with 17-year-olds, and some 21-year-olds were at one point, and they still, at this point, younger guys, were, you know, my third class or my second class petty officer that I had to listen to. And there were times where he would say something, and I'd look at him and I'd go, yeah, I'm not fucking doing that, kid. You're dumb as hell. It's not happening. You need to listen to me. I have my second chevron. You need to listen to me. If they were good, you didn't have to do that. But also, like, you know, flash the fucking rank. But also, that rarely happened. But it's happened before, and they've been pretty good about it. You know how to tiptoe, in other words, right? Even officers, like, you understand age. There's a way to respect each other. You know, even though you're my subordinate, you're as old as me or older. You know, and there's just this really underlying, at least in the Seabees, at least in my experience, it was really easy and good to do. It was really remarkable. We knew our place. But anyway, going back to Seabee military bearing, it all started from there, in my opinion. That's where it started. And the culture that was what set the culture of the Seabees. And over the years, no matter what, you come in and you see what it's like. Okay, this is what I am. And it's just passed on, passed on, passed on. So much so that I remember going through ECS, which is, and I spoke on it, Expeditionary Combat Skills. I remember going through ECS and we had a warrant officer there. And he was cool. But he goes, man, I had to warn a lot of these guys. I remember we were sitting in rank, because in ECS, it's like you all, from officers to seamen, and there's even fleet rates in there, you know, that are there. ETs, one guy went through VBS, which is, I think, vessel boarding school in the fleet. That sounds really cool. But tons of different ranks and different rates, fleeters and Seabees together, just mostly Seabees and MAs because you're more combat oriented. So we were there, Chief Warrant Officer was there. And he goes, yeah, I had to warn a lot of these fleet guys. And I remember talking to him, it was early morning, and I go, what do you mean, sir? And he goes, well, it's no secret in the fleet, you're military bearing. Like, you guys, you don't have any. Like, so, and nobody really is gonna tell you guys, Seabees, how to talk and how to fix it, because, you know, you stay in your lane, we stay in our lane. But I had to warn a lot of these higher, you know, these first classes that are here, these second classes, like, hey, when they don't fucking listen to you, or you say something to them and they're like, all right, cool, like whatever, you know, and it's not yes, petty officer, or this or that, don't say anything. Let them be, they're Seabees. Like, just don't fucking cause issue, because then you're gonna cause me issue. And I thought that was so interesting. That was at the beginning of my career. But as you stay in and you're a Seabee in different regards, I mean, it's remarkable. For example, the way that you talk to your chief, you know, you still respect and you say, yes, chief, no, chief. And sometimes you've got some gay ass chiefs who are like, it's chief, yes, chief, it's no, chief, instead of saying, yeah, I got it. Like, you still have them, and that's fine, and that's up for debate whether it should be like that or not. But I'm just telling you what the fuck it is in battalion and how it was in battalion in 2019 to 2004. You know, this is how it was. Okay, another situation I recall was I was on the quarterdeck. And I was the POO, which is the petty officer of the watch. You're dealing with the logbook, etc. One, I'm so curious to you fleeters what it's like on the ships. I remember in boot camp, right? It's like you're standing there, you're in fucking NSUs, and you're like a robot. And everybody that comes on board has to announce who they are and ask permission, and you grant them permission, and it's like this whole formal, you know, fucking event. In the Seabees, dude, you walk onto our quarterdeck. First off, our quarterdeck is a receptions desk in the middle of our building. Like, that's number one. Two, you don't attention on deck for any officer. I don't know how it is in the fleet. I thought it was for any officer in the fleet. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly. But in the Seabees, you only do it for your commander, your CO, commanding officer, or someone higher, like a captain on base, or, you know, a higher command. That's it, and that rarely did you have somebody come that was higher than CO. But that's when attention on deck and the CO, oh, you know, but carry on, no problem, how are you doing today? You know, real fucking cool, like. But, so relaxed, but I was sitting there, and the CMAA walked in with an officer who he was buddies with, wasn't CO, and I was reading the Wall Street Journal, just like this, sitting there, desk, everything's done. I'm recording everything that needs to be recorded. The Moo's doing his things. We didn't have rovers. Things like that. But, you know, we're sitting there and I'm reading the newspaper, and the CMA walks up and he's like, he grabs his head and he goes, Rudko, what are you doing? And I'm like, and I lean in, I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm reading. And he goes, yeah, but, yeah, you know, I said, and he's like, yeah, but, you know, and I'm like, what do you mean, yeah? I said, and he was a first class. I was a third class at the time. And I go, what do you mean? We can read on the quarterdeck. We were told we can read. It's not a problem. Which I don't know if in fucking the boats you can do that. But we got to read on the quarterdeck. And watch me get somebody in fucking trouble, or somebody call out and be like, what the fuck is going on with the Seabees quarterdeck? Don't fucking do that. Don't fuck things up. Don't do that shit. Commander, captain, rear admiral, whoever you are. Don't be a fucking gay. 2003 gay. Not a homosexual gay. Like stupid lame gay. Anyway. So I'm sitting there, and I say that. I say, you told we can read. What is it? When is this? This isn't new. And he says to me, he goes, yeah, Dave, but you're like leaned back. You got the Wall Street out. You're reading it like you're on vacation. I said, well, I am on vacation on this quarterdeck. I said, compared to what fucking fleeters have to do, you know. But it was cool. And I said, all right, I'll put the paper away for now. Blah blah blah. Read the paper again 30 minutes later, because why not? It didn't change nothing. So anyway, you got all the way from the quarterdeck to, you should see us during quarters, right? And quarters, for you guys who don't know what quarters is, it's just when the battalion comes together and we're all in our companies and our rank and our platoons, you know, and we're counted for muster. And sometimes there's awards, sometimes there's not ceremonies, sometimes there's speeches, whatever it might be. But it's pretty much like a weekly muster, massive muster report with some additions to it. Even there, dude, you guys are, you know, we form up in Marine battalion orgs, and the Marines, dude, are like, you know, probably so fucking sharp and shit. And we are pretty sharp, but you also can tell, like, we don't give a fuck. Why are we here? That's the question we're asking. You know, we got other shit we got to deal with. What the hell are we doing here in this candy ass land? So all the way up to there, you know, the military bearing's bad, but I guess the most conflicting one is talking to superiors. So if you're like a third class and below, you're all the same. You're like E4 Mafia below, just no bear, like nobody, you're all the same. Second class, you finally get a little bit like, oh, I'm different? I'm different? No, I'm not. And I'll tell you what, in my opinion, and first classes might be able to argue this, but I disagree. Second classes are like the peak workhorses. If you're a second class, you're what makes battalion move. You're what makes everything move. Everything, you know, below you deal with, and everything above you deal with. In other words, you're the bottleneck. First classes like to say they're the bottleneck. They're not. They like to pretend they're chiefs. At least in my experience, most of them. You knew you had a good fucking first class when he was out there with you. If he wasn't out there with you, then you knew he was playing, I wanted to be a chief. I'm going to be a chief one day. I got to act like a chief, so I'm going to be a cunt. I'm a cunt. I'm going to be a chief. Dead ass, that's how it is. It's so funny. But yeah, dude, and then first class, you're working, you're doing your duties, right? Supervising, whatever it might be, but you're really chief in training. And then if you're a chief and up, dude, it's almost laughable. If you're a chief, it's like Candyland. I wish sometimes I was allowed to stay in, because once I made chief, it would be like vacation. And then you get senior and master, and it immediately becomes excessively more administrative. So first class, you start dipping into the more heavier admin. Second class, you even do a little admin, but first class, you really start getting into it. But then chief and up, dude, it's just pure admin, pure administrative. So anyway, going back to military bearing, the way you talk to people. In my opinion, the triad really was the only group of officers, as well as the S codes, which is like the S1 to the S7, which are your ops officer, your supply officer, all these officers that are put in charge of departments, right? Those guys and the triad are really the only ones that you see like military bearing 100% all the time. Like, yes, sir, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Aye, aye. Aye, aye, sir. You know, like, that's when you see that, like, you know, at attention, and that's when things get a little, but even still, dude, you're really not at attention. It's just, yes, sir. As long as you're saying yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and smiling, like, that's military bearing in the Seabees. As far as, and saluting, of course, you're going to salute. But half the time you're walking away from him once you notice him, and the officer's walking away from you because nobody wants to fucking salute each other. But yeah, military bearing, dude. And then on deployment, working in Israel, for example, with the Air Force, they were completely confused why we weren't wearing covers, because our officer was like, yeah, we're not doing covers out here, or blouses. It's too fucking hot. So we'll let you know if, you know, an officer or somebody from battalion's coming to the triad, or, you know, a guest is coming on base, whether it be from the Air Force or from IDF or IAF, the Israeli Air Force. Yeah, it was like, just go to work. It was a construction zone. That's it. Like, if you're in construction now, dude, as a residential construction carpenter or whatever, or a commercial, and you want to get the fuck out, be a Seabee. I promise you, your life doesn't really change, except for you go on cool ass trips, i.e. deployments, if you're good. If you're bad, you go to main body and it's shit. But if you're good, you go on some badass trips and have the best experiences of your life, all while dealing with the same bullshit you would be dealing with at home. But you'll probably get paid less. Probably, I would wager. But anyway, military bearing. That's about it. Well, I was going to say the Air Force really in Israel didn't understand how we could function as a unit without military bearing. And we would tell them, like, what do you think, we're fucking retarded? We have orgs, we follow everything we need to follow, we just cut through the bullshit, okay? And you always get into shit talks, dude. You always get into shit talks with other branches of service, right? I remember the Marines, and I remember getting into it with this one Marine, and he was and we were good. It wasn't like we were real mad at each other, but he was talking shit and I'm talking shit. And if you don't talk shit in the military and you're fucking politically correct, good luck. You're either a female that's gonna boost as a collateral queen, literally, so good for you, great, or you're gonna die and cripple away, because that's military culture. And even though we're in a cunt ass, retarded ass, politically correct military right now, it's still there. It's still there. So hold hope, boys that are going. Hold on hope. It's not all bad, I promise you. But going back to the Marine, we were arguing about something. I can't remember. I think we were arguing about, it wasn't military bearing. I think it was just being better. It was an engineering battalion. And we're talking shit. And he says to me, he goes, bro, I'll beat the shit out of you. And I looked at him and I said, listen, kid, I said, you probably will beat the shit out of me. But I'll tell you what, 1,000% more than you, I will enjoy it better than you. I will enjoy getting my ass beat by you as opposed to you beating my ass. So don't waste your time, because you'll get laughed at by me while you beat my ass, as well as everybody else who is just like, what the fuck is happening? He's enjoying it more than this Marine, this devil dog, is beating his ass. And it's just, I'll probably cut that out, that story, but it's a good story. I'll talk about it another time. Anyway, so to wrap up things today, military bearing. Seabees have military bearing. But instead of 100% military bearing, we have maybe 17%, okay? The 17% is when it's absolutely necessary to have it. But all the other unnecessary shit, where it's just a pissing contest, we don't have it because we don't care. It's whatever. Fuck it, right? If you ask us what you need, we will do it. But don't give us all the extra shit. Just tell us what you need and we will do it. That's a Seabee. That's a Seabee. But yeah, other than that, these are my NSUs in a barn. I wonder if anybody's ever seen a Seabee in his naval service uniform in a fucking barn. Probably not. Maybe. And then NAVFAC, NECC, but this goes higher. CNO, Chief of Naval Operations. Maybe fucking think for a minute with your team and go, what makes children happy? Let's give them a popsicle. Such a cheap little thing and small, and it lasts, and boom, and it doesn't really mess anything up. Let's give them a popsicle. That will bring morale up to the sky, and it does every time. So what do we do with grown men, grown adults? Which I'm saying men because you fucking, victims. I'm saying men because that's what makes up the US military, mostly men. So let's take that targeted group, the majority, and say, what is going to bring up their morale? The females will like it too, because you females in the military, bro. Fucking beard. Look at me in my NSUs. Look at me in my NSUs right now with my fucking beard. 10 times better looking immediately. So females, you are going to win. You're going to win on this too. But going back to UCNO, do it. Just fucking do it. You don't have to do nothing political. You don't got to worry about anything. Just say, here we go. We have come up with a new study, which you haven't. You're fucking just annoying as fuck. Where it says, hey, we're going to let you have beards. And you're going to see, I would wager money, 35% shoot up for retention and 35% of recruiting rates shoot up immediately without doing anything else. That is what would happen. And if your complaint is the gas mask, redesign the fucking gas mask. We need a redesign anyway. It's been a minute, okay? You waste our money on all this other shit, at least waste it on something that might get us closer to being a little bit happier in rank, okay? The beard. Do it. But anyway, let's wrap up Seabee Sunday. I appreciate you guys stopping in. I have not forgot about UCT. Trust me, I have not. But he is on deployment and he's adamant he wants to be a part of it. And I think it's a good idea. I want him to be a part of it because he's going to help you guys who are excited. You active bees who are like, I want more information about UCT because I'm going. And then you kids who are like, what? There's a whole nother fucking kind of Seabee? Which again, they're not, but they are. In my opinion, they really are their own rate. But yeah, man, thanks so much. And I hope you laughed, okay? And I hope you share this and you fucking like this so that we can get a Seabee on YouTube and have the whole community collectively come together and go, yes, we are real and we are still fucking relevant and we are still cool. And if you're one of those Seabees who's like, we used to be cool, we're not cool anymore, or you served and you want to say that shit, keep that shit on Reddit, all right? Where you don't have to show your face, fucking lame ass. Thanks for joining me, all right? Thank you so much. Seabee land.